According to a report released this September 2024 by the Commonwealth Research Group, they found that out of 10 nations, the United States is the sickest, yet we spend the most on healthcare. So not only are we sick, but we're also broke. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the Holistic Travel Therapy Podcast, where we're going to talk about how we make America healthy again.
Hi, I'm John Wilson, Doctor of Physical Therapy.
And I'm Courtney Condon, occupational therapist. And I'm sure we all kind of know of some of the trending stuff going on now about making America healthy again and some of the different principles and practices that have come to light on maybe why America is being one of the sickest nations. Like, I looked at the study, it was 10 different nations. Australia and the Netherlands were the healthiest. And then it just continued, from there with the United States, number 10.
Yeah, it's crazy because throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, we were going in this direction and we were getting healthier and we were doing a lot of different things with our food that were good. And then after the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, we started kind of going down a little bit. So right now we have among all of the richest and biggest countries in the world, we are dead last as far as life expectancy, when in the 90s we were number one. So our life expectancy in the United States is now down to 76 years of age. Even though, like Courtney said, we spend the most by far, we spend more than double than any other country in the entire world on healthcare. And it just doesn't add up. And there's been a couple of videos recently. RFK Jr. Actually posted a TikTok and a couple different videos that we saw, and he kind of talked about this as well. I believe he's going to be the new Secretary of Health for the United States. So I'm just glad that finally I hear somebody, as far as like politicians, kind of talk about this, because it's something that we've been hearing for a while now, and we kind of want to start talking about it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think some of the statistics out there now, John, are like 90% of US adults have some type of metabolic syndrome, which just leads you at a higher risk for getting any other type of illness. I believe 80% of individuals 65 years or older have at least one chronic condition, and then like 70% have two or more. I think 50% of individuals 65 and older have arthritis, and then hypertension, and 90% of US adults 65 years and older are on prescription medication. 90%. So that means
Everyone.
everyone pretty much.
Yeah.
And they're spending out of pocket like over $7,500 a year. And that's out of pocket. That's not what's covered by Medicare, which they qualify for. I believe the report said in 2023, the United States spent $870 billion of federal money on Medicare services. So
Yeah.
that's like everyone who's 65 years or older spending that qualifies for Medicare, spending over $15,000 on their health.
So the government is making everybody sick as they get older by allowing a lot of these chemicals that we're going to talk about into our foods and into our everyday products, like cleaning products, different things in the bathroom, stuff like that. But and then coming around, we're paying, the taxes and everything that goes to Medicare, Medicaid, federal income tax, stuff like that, and then using all that money to an extreme extent. I mean, getting into the trillions of dollars of debt when it comes to spending in healthcare, and it's just crazy. And Courtney and I, we work with the elderly every single day. We're in different skilled nursing facilities, assisted living facilities, independent living facilities. I see a range from the very, very bottom to the very, very top of elderly people from 65 and older, honestly. And every single person that we see, I mean, that I see, definitely, diabetes, chronic
Hypertension,
chronic back pain,
right?
arthritis, knee pain, and it's just, you shouldn't have to live like that. And I feel like there are some that aren't like that. And then when I talk to them, a few of them have said recently, which really caught my eye, was, I've just eaten from the ground my whole life. I grew up on a
Yeah,
farm,
that's
or
amazing.
I grew up in an area where, there wasn't a lot of fast food places. You just kind of ate whatever came out of the ground, whether it was like, sweet potatoes or anything like that. You went out, you picked it, you ate it for dinner that night. And those are the people that seem to be the healthiest and the most with it and the most able to get around without pain.
Yeah, and I think that leads me to something else that I wanted to mention. I didn't know where to mention it, but this seems like a good opportunity. Is that um, with all of these, processed foods and things like that that we're consuming, it's just pretty much leading us up that trajectory, right? Of all these chronic conditions going into a place maybe like a nursing home or a facility because we can't care for ourselves. And, I feel like I've always had this conversation with my mom where I'm like, oh, the food today, it's so terrible. And I can hear my mom now as she's watching this. She's like, you ate that as a kid. We ate that as a kid. Like, when we're all fine. But it's not the same as it used to be. So, according to a study in 2023, breakfast cereals now have 35% more ingredients than they used to, like in terms of artificial flavors, artificial colors, preservatives, things like that. Even snacks and potato chips used to just have, you know, a little bit of salt, a little bit of oil, whatever it is. And now they also have 50% more ingredients than they used to. So it's not just, like it's there is a difference between what we're eating today and what we were eating 20, 30 years ago. So even if people weren't necessarily eating from the ground, and they were eating box cereals and things like that, they weren't exposed to all the toxins that we're exposed to today.
Exactly. The companies are getting smarter. They're making a ton of money. They want to make more money, so they're going to continue to add preservatives to keep the food on the shelves longer so they don't
Right.
have to just throw them out. I mean, that's pretty obvious when it comes to a business, standpoint. And unfortunately, whether it was they knew about it or they didn't know about it, a lot of these chemicals are coming back where Europe is banning a lot of these chemicals. And
They're already banned. They're
yeah,
banned. You can't find them on store shelves.
exactly.
You know,
So
a lot of the food here you can't find in a grocery store in Europe because the chemicals that are in them, the artificial dyes, the preservatives, they are what's banned, and therefore the food entirely cannot be on
they've
the
been
shelves.
they've been out long enough where we do have information now on their effects, their side effects, and a lot of them, they're seeing the increase in rates of autism and ADHD in kids, and they're seeing
Yep.
that these kids, like, why is this happening? What's the difference? The difference is the food that they're eating. They're eating the Pop Tarts and the cereals that, yes, maybe we were eating as well.
Right, exactly.
And that's where that, from the 90s, when we were born, that's
Yes.
when that climb started to happen as far as the life expectancy was going down. Younger and younger people were getting cancer, and younger people were getting these terrible diseases that people were like, where is this coming from? Because people are, smoking less and
Yeah.
maybe being healthier, but overall it's 100% coming from our food, and it's actually coming from, foods and drinks that you really wouldn't think
I
as well.
know. I know. Yeah. And even some of our medicine, they have some of these additives and dyes and things like that. So that's what we're going to get more into right now. And then at the end, we're going to tell you guys like 2, 3 simple things you can implement today to try to be more aware of all this information that we're talking about. Of course, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. Feel free to message us. We'd love to kind of hear your intake and answer some more questions if we can. So
Yeah, definitely.
so I think we're going to go deep into the food dyes now, right? So as John kind of said, that a lot of these things are banned in Europe. And from reading a lot to prepare for this, I found that it's because, as John said, the research is out there now, and Europe wants to be proactive. They want to try to prevent these things before they become an issue, and they have to, kind of focus on treating and things like that. So that's why a lot of these things are banned. So I think the first food dye that we're going to talk about is yellow fat.
Yeah, so yellow 5, also known as tartrazine. I saw a TikTok the other day from RFK Jr., and this is what really sparked me wanting to do an episode on this because he talked about tartrazine a lot. And he talked about yellow 5 and where it came from. Back in the 70s, 80s, it was, the leftover from sludge and coal and like the leftover, and they found that this was able to kind of change the coloring. It was kind of a, yeah, like a food dye, and able to change
Yeah.
the color and able to, you know, preserve things for longer and you know, stuff like that. So these companies started putting it into, you know, cereals and different foods and drinks. Um, and it's come out that it's, I mean, it's banned. It's been banned since 2022, I believe, in Europe, and it's come out that it has increased rates of autism and ADHD and chronic diseases, and it's really not good for us. And the biggest, you know, part of that video that I took from was he talked about, you know, all the bad foods that it's in, like Doritos and chips and, you know, junk foods, and, you know, he's like,
Right.
of course it's in junk foods. We know that's not good,
Yeah.
but it's also in Gatorade, and it's in vitamin water and fruit snacks and popcorn, chicken broth, pickles, mustard, yogurt, corn.
So anything that has like a really harsh yellow
Yeah,
color. So like, and again, yellow Gatorade is my favorite. If I had to pick a Gatorade, it would be yellow.
yeah,
You know, I don't know why that lemon lime is just so good, but that's what gives it that bright yellow color
yeah.
is
No,
yellow
it's right.
five.
And like he said, it doesn't change the flavor at all. It just changed the color. It makes, you know, things pop a little bit more.
Yeah, which when you're looking for something in the supermarket, right? Like, why not get this super bright yellow or bright yellow
Yeah,
or
there we go.
bright
You just gotta
red?
get
Okay, bright yellow or
Yeah,
bright red drink. So, that's like why they did it. I think I've even read that it's in like macaroni and cheese, like
yeah, yeah,
to
definitely.
to make it
Love
more
mac and cheese.
yellow.
Kraft is definitely adding that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he's like, all right, well, then we get sick because we're drinking this poison basically in all of our foods and drinks. So then what do we do when we get sick? Okay, then we take some cough syrup like NyQuil or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, when you take cough syrup, it either has tartrazine, which is yellow 5, or
Red 40. So that's the one we're going to talk about next. Red 40 is very similar. I believe it has links to hypersensitivity and ADHD in children. And then it contains benzodiazepine, which is a known carcinogen and is also one of those causes of the ADHD and behavioral issues. We see this a lot, as John kind of said, in like those cherry flavored things.
which are my favorite.
Cherry flavored cough syrup, cherry flavored throat spray. Um, so all of those you can look on the back, and they're most likely going to have red 40 in them. Red Gatorade, another one. Um, so that's a big one because like we said, it's kind of everywhere. I believe I don't think we have it on the list, but Blue 10 as well. So Blue 10 is going to be your third most carcinogen based food dye, and that's going to be your blue Gatorade. And that's going to be, I believe we found out it was in Head and Shoulders dandruff shampoo the other day
Yes.
because Head and Shoulders is blue. And you look on the back of if you have Head and Shoulders, I mean, we have it in the house. It says Blue 10
Yeah, yeah,
right
right on
there.
it. And look at your Gatorades. I think Gatorade is a big one because
Powerade would probably be the same.
Powerade, vitamin water. Again, I thought vitamin water was newer and different and better, but yeah, I mean, used to drink these things all the time, you know, without thinking anything about it. And now I just feel like us as a nation, we need to start looking at the ingredients when we buy something and making sure that we, you know most of the ingredients. And if we don't know them, you know, maybe looking them up or maybe, you know, just seeing, because a lot of them, if you look them up, they're banned in Europe and they're banned in these different countries that are way healthier than us and that are just ahead of us as far as health.
Yeah, I believe our last episode we talked about, like focusing on calories versus the quality of our food. So it's something simple is instead of counting calories, count ingredients. If you look on the back of a food and can, every single ingredient there, like, oats, flour, honey, sugar, whatever it is, and then you start to read these different types of additives, maybe just be cautious before you, and continue to invest your money in something like that. So the next one that I kind of wanted to talk about really quick was potassium bromate. So, potassium bromate, I believe it breaks down in the body pretty easily. However, they have found that if it doesn't break down in the body, that is one that is found to cause cancer. So again, another carcinogen, and it is in our bread. That's something that they put in packaged bread to again maintain its freshness, because it will give your bread that nice like puffy soft feeling and not be super crumbly or super dry or anything like that. Bread with all the preservatives lasts for a very long time. And if we, yeah, it shouldn't last that long. So that's just another one because of like something that I feel like is very common in everyone's house. Some of these sports drinks, some of these kids snacks, kids cereals, and then bread.
Yeah. We like, to give you guys just a little bit of, okay, so all this bad stuff, which is again, we listen to podcasts, we hear all this negativity and all this negative stuff, and we're like, all right, so what do we do? So we like Element. Element is LMNT. We're not sponsored, but
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 if
I got
Element's watching this,
yeah. But also
we'll take a
shout out
sponsorship.
you shouted out your mom. I'll shout out my mom. She
Yeah.
loves Element now. She was getting a little bit down as far as like the gym and stuff. Water really wasn't doing it because she works out so hard.
Yeah.
Amazing. Shout out to my mom. But now she drinks a little bit of Element. It has magnesium, sodium, potassium. Those three, right?
Yep.
No added sugar, nothing like that. You just kind of add even just half of it to water, and you're getting all the electrolytes that you're losing through working out and through sweating, but you're also not getting all the preservatives and food dyes and sugar that you're getting from Gatorade or some of these other sports drinks. So that's just kind of one. I'm sure there's others. There's different ones that we, saw on Amazon as well. Just making sure that you're checking the ingredients, making sure that they're not adding any added sugars or even added, even if it says no added sugar, they might be adding a lot of, stevia or something like
Right.
that. So
I want to say like the Gatorade Zero, right? That like doesn't have any sugar, has like aspartame or some other type of synthetic sweetener that they've also found, is has a lot of bad relations, which we've talked about before on another episode when it comes to gut health and things like that. So, as John said, just kind of being aware. There are definitely other brands out there that are just as great. We just really love Element. So that's something maybe if you guys have any questions about that, let us know. And then I think the next thing that we want to talk about, right, is the Yucca app.
yeah, definitely. No, the Yucca app, Courtney put me onto it. I've been using it for a couple months now, and first of all, it's addicting, especially if you care about your health. Anything that you can scan, as if it's not a drug, right? If it's not,
Yeah, if it's not a drug or
so
like a medicine or anything like that, it's mainly food and beauty products. That's pretty
yes,
much it. Food
food,
and beauty
drinks,
products. Yeah.
beauty products, and you just scanned the barcode, and it gives you a rating from 0 to 100 of if it's poor, bad, good, amazing, excellent, whatever,
Yeah.
something like that. And then the biggest thing we wanted to talk about is after you get that score, you can click it, and it gives you the exact ingredients that make it either good or bad and make it that score. And then on top of that, you can click each ingredient and you can look at sources that show if it's good for you, bad for you, banned in Europe, anything like that. It kind of breaks it down for you, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and I believe you didn't mention this. If it is bad for you, they tell you recommendations, right?
Yes.
Of like other things that you can get instead. And to both of our surprises, it's not just like, these top of the line, like all natural, expensive products. There's some everyday, very well known brand products that have overall pretty good ratings, which I was surprised about because, we haven't really talked about this, but I believe there's like what 9 main owners of like everything we eat, consume, beauty, body, all of that. Like Pepsi and Coke, they own so much more than just Pepsi and Coke. You know, same thing with I believe it's like they own Dove and they own a lot of other things. You know, Kellogg is another big one. So sometimes they're putting these things into our foods, and we've talked about that a lot, but they're also putting these things into our skincare and our, our medicine and things like that. So we just want to bring awareness to it. You find that line. Obviously, we're not telling you to go through yucca everything in your kitchen and like throw things away, but just being more aware. I think, do we want to show them like how to yucca?
Yes, we
Just
do.
real quick.
Yes.
Okay. So you grab we'll just like do this real quick because it is, like we said, fun. So I have the app, and like this is the scanner part of it, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna scan this. Is one of my face washes that I bought from Whole Foods, and I was like, vitamin C, gentle daily cleansing paste, golden turmeric, ancient rice.
That's got to be 100. 100 out of 100.
Like, look at that. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you guys how much I spent on it, but 46 out of 100. Poor. It tells me straight up it's a poor face wash.
46. And I've seen some zeros where there's a lot of red. This has moderate risk and low risk. So again, 46 out of 100 is poor. Anything below 50, they're going to give a poor score. But I've definitely seen a lot
It's not
worse.
bad. I think
as
they
far as
have bad ratings.
And then again, you can click each ingredient like we talked about, and it kind of talks about the moderate risk and stuff like that. So.
But again, I'm human. I spent money on this. I still wash my face with this,
Yeah, and then it has recommendations below. So it has, an 86.
Like this one. So this is Neutrogena. Again, a very big name brand that I would think, oh, if it's a big name brand, they're doing something, sus. They're doing something sketchy with their products. But no, it's an 86 out of 100. It's way better than
Exactly, but I've also seen some Neutrogena products that were low. So like Courtney said, some of them could be like a cheaper product but could have a better score. Some of it could be like, all natural organic face wash, and it's like a 35. So again, you want to just check why they're getting that score.
Yeah. And then this is my other face wash. The John's gonna scan.
93.
93
out of 100. You look, there's a lot of green. You obviously want to see green. There's one yellow, which brings it down from a 100 to a 93, which is, of course, Pelargonium gravilis flower oil, which is just a low risk allergen. That's really the all it is. It's a low risk allergen, but.
Thank you for
wait,
that.
Wait. Let me go grab something real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. But yeah, so these are things that, like we said, we just want you guys to be more aware of. Have fun with it. Like we really do. It's not as serious as, it can be. I think the biggest thing is that if it builds up over time, right? If we're having red 40 in our Gatorade and then in our Fruit Loops and then in our cough syrup and then in our skincare, we're getting exposed to a lot of these toxins that are known genotoxins, which are just poor for health, carcinogens, cancer-causing agents. And if we can just remove one or two of those things, we are going to be at a way less exposure risk. So that's all we're just trying to do, guys, is so you can be informed and you can make your own decisions and kind of support this move to make America healthy again. So, okay, Jon has another one.
Yes, so I have the matte paste here with a firm hold and no shine finish. Just got that on Amazon. Amazing reviews. People loved it. So I was like, you know what? I'm trying to get that in the hair a little bit, make the hair look a little bit greater. So I scanned it the other day.
Yeah, I mean, good reviews, obviously. 0 out of 100.
A 0 is crazy. So immediately I have not used it, obviously, since then. But again, for a 0, you're just looking at all the high risk and moderate risk ingredients, carcinogens that they have in there. So the high risk one, you click it. It's banned in many cosmetic products in Europe since 2022, classified as a category 1B carcinogen.
I think that's equivalent to smoking cigarettes.
Straight up in Amazon products in the United States that have good reviews.
Right.
So again, You definitely want
And again,
to.
nothing against Amazon. I got this 93%,
Yeah, no, Amazon has everything. They're going to have great products. They're going to have some bad ones. But
Right.
again, it's just little things that I would have never even thought about, that putting little bits of something in my hair could cause this. And so it's good to have that app to try to, I think it's the phone probably. It's good to have the app to try to just look at if the product is a zero, then, I can't use it.
Yeah, exactly. And just when you're out grocery shopping and you're looking at different things, I think it's quick, it's easy. It's honestly probably quicker than looking at and reading the back of it. You just scan it and
Yeah.
it pretty much gives you a score.
Yeah, I was at Publix the other day for an hour and a half though, in one aisle, in the beauty aisle. Yes, I was. I scanned every single different beauty product in there, from the shampoos to the toothpaste to the mouthwash to the deodorant to the. Yeah, no, it was bad. It was bad.
So
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Just scan a few things.
Scan like what you are gonna get or what you want
But
to get.
I'm just trying to see, and what do you think happened?
You
A
didn't
lot of low scores. Lot
Yeah.
of low scores.
Yeah. So just, be cautious. So that's the second thing. So drink, some natural electrolytes from Element. Think about getting the Yucca app for yourself to look at some of your food things, your skincare things. And then the third one is going to be to just, not take things so seriously at the same time, right? At the end of the day, as John said, we just want you guys to be informed. We want you to make the best decisions. We shouldn't be listening to all this stuff and be super stressed out. I know sometimes we kind of get into that. We just moved. We are wanting to make sure that everything that we are bringing into our house, as far as pans and baking dishes and, our different cosmetic, were a little bit better quality. So, we could deal with some of those, like personally, some of those allergic reactions that I have on my skin. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but at the same time, to just remember that at the end of the day, we're doing our best. And like I said a little bit ago, if we can just make one or two swaps for things, and we talk about them, in other podcasts, like if you use red cough throat spray, we've talked about Beekeepers Naturals, and they have a propolis throat spray that is literally bee propolis, and that's it, and there's swaps out there, and they might cost a few extra dollars, but they're going to save you more money down the road if you're not getting sick and you're not having to go to the hospital and you're not having to have all these out of pocket costs from your, from your healthcare.
I agree. Like Courtney was saying, at the end of the day, stressing about it and making it your entire thought process is going to actually be worse. So we know that stress leads to many, many issues, many chronic diseases as well. So, maybe get the app, scan a few things, maybe try to make a couple changes here and there, try to, do everything you can. But again, if you use a shampoo that has something in it, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Just try to do other things, exercise, eat as healthy as possible, get good sleep, and these things will start adding up, and we can start to kind of see a little bit of an increase, and we can make America healthy again.
Yeah, like how amazing would it be for your loved one to not only live a little bit longer, but live a little bit healthier, right? And I think at the end of the day, that's why we love doing this, because as John said, we work with people every day and we both care about our family and our friends so much. And if we can just impact one person to make a change off this video and they influence someone else to make a change, I mean, that's just amazing. And we help to make America healthy again. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode. So you have those three things to kind of focus on: getting in those electrolytes, getting that Yucca app, and then letting go of the things you can't control. And that's our challenge for you, is to really try to implement those things this week. They're simple things that I think will make a huge difference. As always, guys, if you have any questions, comments, don't hesitate to let us know.
Yeah, and if you can, whether it's whatever, social media site that you use, Facebook, Instagram, just kind of share this episode or just send it to a friend, and just send it to one or two friends, maybe send it to a couple family members. Just try to get this information out there, just because we really want people to start, hearing about this and knowing this, because people that I talk to every day, they don't really know this stuff, and it's really, really important, obviously, for the health of everybody around us. So you could just share this out there. We're going to give away one journal to
Yes.
somebody who likes this episode and shares it on social media. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. So go ahead, like this episode, share it out on social media, and we'll be picking one winner. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.
Peace.